Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Welcome to the Morning Answer with John, Anthony, and Charles Thomas.
Good morning.
Charles, I should probably invite people from the Detroit crowd. What do you think about that? You like Detroit, right?
I love Detroit.
Yeah. So we're so happy to be broadcasting in two states right now, in Michigan and Chicago. You're listening in Chicago on AM 560, The Answer, and in Detroit, 92.7 and AM 1400, The Answer. I want to invite you guys in. Charles, as a former police officer, I never looked when I was out there on the street. If I called for backup, I didn't care what the person looked like, what their sexual orientation was. You know what I wanted, Charles? I just wanted somebody there.
Yeah.
Because I think that was more important for me than having somebody. And then there were a few people that I worked with, and I said to myself, how did they even become police officers? And I think when you see what has happened in the profession of policing, and even as firefighters, these departments have tried to diversify their departments, and I think it's proud. I think that's one of the reasons why you see so many lawsuits, especially as it relates to the policing department, because you're bringing in people who I believe don't have the skill set to be a police officer, and it hurts. It really does. I'm sure there are police officers listening right now, and they're saying, "This dude is right." When DEI was introduced, it should have never been introduced to our military. Should have never been introduced to our law enforcement profession. Now, you can have your argument about any other profession, but those are professions where you need good, qualified people.
You need good, qualified people. And, I think we want the police force to be diverse.
Yeah.
But it has to occur
skill set
organically,
yes.
Where, again, the skill set is the most important thing that happens.
Yeah.
And so be it.
Well,
but that's just the way it's got to be. But it's got to be that way pretty much for every profession.
I agree. Doctors,
lawyers,
lawyers, all of them.
And it's happening. It's happening organically. It absolutely is happening, and America has to begin to trust itself again.
Yeah.
We've got the laws in place, so let America give it a chance to trust itself, because at some point, DEI is going to have to end.
Well, I think it's coming to an end.
We just can't. We can't go on like that forever. We have to depend on the laws in our society to support it.
Yeah.
And these things can happen organically.
Yeah.
And I think that what Donald Trump is saying at this point is that he's saying 2025 is the day that we begin to live the promise of the country.
Yeah.
Now let's see if we can do it.
Well, as you know, if you don't know, Charles, under the Biden administration, they filed a couple of DEI-themed lawsuits. Well, according to an article in Law Enforcement Today, Attorney General Pam Bondi has dismissed a number of these lawsuits as it relates to police and fire. Bondi noted that skill and dedication need to be factors when hiring firefighters and police officers rather than diversity roles, which I totally agree with. So what happens now, Charles? Joining us now to discuss this further is he's becoming a really good friend of mine, Michael Letts. He's a law enforcement veteran with over 30 years of experience under his belt. Letts is also president and founder and CEO of Invest USA, an organization that provides bulletproof vests to police officers through various sponsorships. He's also a chaplain, a pastor. My brother, Michael Letts, welcome to the Morning Answer.
Well, thank you so much, John. It's always a privilege to be with you, and I'm grateful to see that Detroit and Chicago are doing so well this morning.
Thank you, my brother. So, Michael, what does happen now with these lawsuits being tossed by AG Pam Bondi? What happens to law enforcement? Are they able to now hire as they see fit?
They're able to hire as they see fit, but we've got another issue that we're having to work with, John, as you're very well aware. because of what has happened over the last 4 years, every agency, and I'm all across the country, every agency that I talk to, I tell them what your number one concern is. We can't find anybody to hire.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to become a cop anymore because of what they've heard about in the mainstream media in the past. So we've got to do two things. First of all, obviously, we can't lower standards. And here's why I say that. Folks, these professions, whether we're talking about the military, air traffic controller, first responders, have the ability to save lives and to take lives.
Yeah.
You can't keep that very lightly. So we have to make sure we have the best. It's not a matter of diversity. It's a matter of making sure we have the best people that can do the job. We don't care what their background is, as long as they're capable of handling the job and can handle the pressure that comes with it. John, you make a life and death decision in seconds.
That's right.
And you have to make sure that you have the capacity to be able to do that. So now that we are free from having to worry about, I don't have enough of this here, I don't have enough of that there, the next question becomes, how do we re-engage young people? How do we re-engage the community for them to understand this is a noble and honorable profession? You know, I was on a show, I think it was yesterday, the day before, a national show. The question was raised, what makes a good cop? I said, that's a fantastic question. Let me tell you what makes the best cop that I've ever seen. It's one that has a spirit and a heart for people.
Yes.
They are more concerned about taking care of their brothers and sisters in their community, putting their life on the line willingly to do so, even if they don't get the appreciation for it, than they are about anything else. That's what makes the best cop that we can find in America. There are plenty of people out there like that, but they have been told law enforcement is not where you need to be. So we've asked the Trump administration for their backing and support. Of course, we have that. And we're looking to do something different, John. Here's what we're looking to do. We want to create charter public schools, high schools, all across the country, dedicated to one purpose, and that is to training America's next generation of first responders. You will come in and say, at the minimum, a sophomore, hopefully a freshman. You will, at the time of graduation, you'll have 3 tracks. You can graduate as a paramedic, firefighter, or a Class 3 law enforcement. Of course, you and I both know the difference between Class 3 and Class 1. Class 3, you can be 18. Class 1, you got to be 21. It's funny, I had somebody on the show call and say, well, you draft them, you send them to war at 18. Why can't you let them be a Class 1 at 18? I said, fair question. We'll have to debate that as a country. But they'll be able to graduate with their diploma. They'll have a 2-year associate degree as well on the same page, and they'll be fully certified to be able to be hired in any one of those professions the day they walk across the platform. That's what we need to start doing to press to the American people that, hey, we have got a crisis.
I love that idea.
We're going to help meet it that way. And this is an honorable profession. John, you've been there.
Yeah.
This is an honorable profession, regardless of what the media says.
But Michael, just a quick follow-up. I've always said when they change the description from peace officers to law enforcement officers, and they became basically a collection agency for government, that's when law enforcement shifted. Because it used to be about protecting the people of the community, bringing order to chaos. But when they changed it from peace officers to law enforcement officers, do you think that's when we saw a real big shift in how people view law enforcement?
I think you saw a shift from 2 different standpoints, John. You saw a shift from the community that these people are just simply, that we're out trying to be picky, shall we say, and exercise our authority. And you saw some cops that saw that, wow, yeah, I'm an actual law enforcement. I'm not worried about the peace. I've got an advantage, and I'm affronted. Now, quite frankly, you and I both know, John, we weed those out pretty quickly, but it still didn't not occur.
Yeah. What about money as an incentive for young people to become involved in law enforcement?
Well, I've had the administration ask me that question, and here's my response. Some people agree, some people disagree. I don't want you doing the job, John, for money, because that's the wrong motive. Mm-hmm. At the same time, I don't want you to have to work 80 hours where everybody else works 40 just to be able to keep the light turned on. So we should make sure that we're paying a decent salary, that people are able to live and support their families, A. B, there's nothing wrong with providing an incentive bonus to help you meet the expenses that are necessary to get into the profession. But if we're just saying, hey, I'm going to give you $100,000, $200,000 up front, you're going to have the wrong people applying, and I'm concerned about that.
That's true. Let's discuss this. Ben Shapiro has come out and said that he believes Donald Trump should pardon or commute or pardon the sentence of Derek Chauvin. Now, when this case first started, I was kind of hard on Derek Chauvin, but I went back and I read all the reports. I read the autopsy. I then went and watched The Fall of Minnesota. And my view shifted. I don't think Chauvin himself killed George Floyd, and that's a lot of consternation. And I know I've just made a post about it yesterday, and people are just fighting and arguing about it. Is Derek Chauvin an arseling? You know what that means in the North Heathen vernacular. Was he an arseling? Yes, but I do believe that this should have never reached the federal courts. This should have never reached it. But Ellison had motives. Keith Ellison, I think he was the AG there in Minnesota when this happened. What are your thoughts about Donald Trump pardoning him from his federal crime? That means that the state conviction still stands, though.
I think he definitely should pardon him. People say, why would you react so quickly? Look, folks, let's be very blunt. We know that there has been a deliberate, attempted move to portray law enforcement in a negative light, to create organizations like Black Lives Matter and others that would go after law enforcement and our police officers, our peace officers. We know that for a fact. So they did not give any slack, any benefit of the doubt. If there was any way to stretch it, they stretched it against them, not for them. That's not a way to operate.
Yeah. And when you look at the case, a lot of people are not looking at, they didn't see the full case and how the chief lied on the stand, saying that training. I know I was trained at the Police Training Institute here at the University of Chicago with the they called it the knee to the neck is what they're calling it. Right. I was trained in that, and if you watch The Fall of Minnesota by Liz Conklin, you see that the training manual of Derek Chauvin. One of the ladies in the video, she holds up his training manual, and it's in there. There was a lot of stuff that they wouldn't allow into the case. That matters, right, Michael?
It makes a tremendous difference. And you see, I love what you just said. They wouldn't allow it into the case. I thought in this country, you were innocent till proven guilty, and you were given every affordable opportunity to prove your innocence. So why, when there's a relevant fact, am I going to say, oh, no, that one might cause a jury to think you're not guilty? You can't have that evidence admitted. Right. There's something wrong with our judicial system as well. I keep saying this across the country. Yes, we're working on law enforcement, our first responders, on improving that, and it's working. But quite frankly, that's only half of the problem. Yeah. The other half is we have a corrupt jurisprudence system, and we know it.
Yep. Now, last we spoke, Kash Patel, there was a talk about Kash Patel taking over the ATF. You got any update for us on that?
Kash took it, a good friend. Kash and Dan Bongino. Dan's coming on, getting off of his show. I think he's coming on this week, as I recall. And here was what is interesting. Kash came in. Now, of course, the liberal element in the Senate were trying to pin him into saying something that would disqualify him. He wouldn't say anything that would disqualify him, but he also wouldn't say anything just to tickle their ears either. Here's what's great about Kash. Kash has got a memory like an elephant. He knows. You remember, he was the chief of staff, deputy chief of staff to the Department of Defense during the first term, Trump's first term. So he had security clearance and access to all the briefings. He knows who did what and when they did it and whether it was right or wrong. And he doesn't forget. There have been those that have come up to Kash and said, okay, you're now the new director. Close the book from the past. Don't open anything there. Move forward and create a new day. And Kash's response has been, I can't create a new day if I don't make sure that we don't make the old happen, never let it happen again. Yeah. And he's right.
I agree. Now, let's talk about your work with being the founder, president, and CEO of Invest USA. What is it, and what are you guys trying to do to assist police officers across the country?
Well, when we first started 32 years ago, 52% of cops nationwide had no vest. Shocking statistic. We got that down to 19%, but as you remember, down back in our days, the only thing available was a concealable vest. Yeah. Of course, it worked well because a concealable vest, that's the one you wear under your shirt, was designed to protect against handgun rounds. Well, back then, nobody was proud of being a criminal, so they took a pistol and hid it underneath your shirt before you committed the crime.
Yep.
Times have changed.
Yeah.
Now we're talking about cartels, sex traffickers, terrorists. They're proud of what they do. They bring in long-range rifles, AK-47s, and as you and I both know, that'll cut right through concealable vests as if you weren't wearing one. So we had to stop 10 years ago and create new technology called active shooter vests. You throw these over the top of what you're wearing, but our active shooter vests have titanium plates in them.
Nice.
They will literally stop a 50 caliber round. Of course, blunt trauma will kill you, but you'll look good in the casket because you'll be in one piece. But they'll stop anything that's out there. The problem, though, with this, Charles, is the fact that we have 90%, that's 90% of cops across the country who do not have access to this technology as of yet. But yet we are asked these brave men and women to put it all on the line, to go out and go after the cartels, to go after the gangs, to go after the terrorists, the sex traffickers. And, you know, quite frankly, they're better armed and better protected than our own people are. Now, that's a crying shame.
That is true. You got any events coming up with Invest USA?
We actually are getting ready to debut, and we'll send you the information. We have 2 TV shows. We have one coming up called Bulletproof Run and one called God Saves. God Saves is about officers who've been shot in the line of duty and their impact on the officer, the community, and their family. Bulletproof Run is going to be even funner. We're going to come up your way because I believe we need to do this in Chicago and Detroit, where we hold a community event. And we bring our law enforcement, our first responders out. We bring the community out. This is all televised. We bring in celebrities and stars. We challenge them. You remember the old show, The Gladiators?
Yeah.
We have, challenging courses. We just have a good time so that people can see, you know what? These people are just like me.
Yeah.
They're humans. And I think that's what's needed more than ever.
Hey, Michael, make sure you guys do the shoot, don't shoot. Bring that screen of the shoot, don't shoot. That would be great. Where can people find your website?
They go to investusa.org. It's a charity. You'll find all this information, how you can get involved to help make sure our officers have what they need as they go out and protect our community. And you can feel a part of a great family. John, you've been there.
Yeah.
First responders are a great family. You want to be a part. You want to be a supportive.
That's so true. Michael Letts, founder, president, and CEO of Invest USA. Thank you so much for joining us on The Morning Answer.
Thank you. God bless, and God bless America.
We'll be right back.
It's what Chicago is talking about. It's Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy on AM 560. The Answer.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has programs specifically designed to